Formula One has always been the fastest form of motorsport, where every millisecond separates legends from the rest. But in 2026, something changed. For the first time, the very drivers trusted to push these machines to their limits began questioning the cars themselves. Engineers called them the future of Formula One. Many drivers weren't so convinced, warning that these changes could fundamentally alter the sport. So what is it about the new 2026 Formula One cars that has some of the sport's biggest names openly criticizing them? Let's find out. A new era for Formula One. For Formula One, 2026 wasn't meant to be just another regulation update. It was designed to mark the beginning of a completely new era. The FIA wanted the sport to become more sustainable without sacrificing the speed and excitement that Formula One is known for. That meant introducing 100% sustainable fuel, redesigning the power units, making the cars smaller and lighter than before, and reducing the heavy reliance on complex aerodynamic downforce. On paper, it sounded like exactly the kind of evolution Formula One needed. But one of the biggest changes was happening where fans couldn't even see it. For the first time in modern Formula One, the electrical side of the power unit would play a much bigger role than ever before. Instead of relying mostly on the internal combustion engine, the new regulations were designed to split the power much more evenly between the petrol engine and the electric system. It was an ambitious step aimed at making Formula One more relevant to the future of road car technology. The FIA, manufacturers, and teams all supported this direction. Companies like Audi are committed to joining Formula One under these new regulations, while Honda reversed its decision to leave the sport and chose to stay because of the new engine rules. From the outside, everything suggested that Formula One had found the perfect balance between innovation and competition. But as teams began running simulations and drivers began to understand how these cars would actually behave on a race weekend, a different conversation began to emerge. The concern wasn't that the cars would be slow, it was how they would have to be driven to stay fast. The energy problem. At first, the new 2026 power units looked like a huge step forward. Unlike in previous generations, the electric motor now provides almost half of the car's total power, making energy management more important than ever. But there was one problem. Unlike fuel, electrical energy must be recovered through braking before it can be reused. If a driver uses too much battery power early in the lap, they can't instantly regain it. On circuits with long straights, simulations showed that some cars could run low on electrical deployment before reaching the braking zone, forcing them to rely mostly on the combustion engine. This quickly became one of the biggest concerns surrounding the new regulations. Max Verstappen criticized the direction of the new cars, arguing that drivers would spend too much time managing energy instead of simply racing. Lando Norris also warned that battery management could become more important than pushing flat out, while Lewis Hamilton said he hoped Formula One wouldn't lose the aggressive driving style that defines the sport. The concerns became serious enough that the FIA began discussing possible changes with teams and manufacturers before the regulations were even introduced. For the first time in years, Formula One wasn't just debating who had the fastest car, it was debating whether the new technology could change the way racing itself is fought. Racing versus energy management. Managing tires and fuel has always been part of Formula One, but in 2026, drivers face a new challenge, constantly managing battery energy while trying to race. In previous seasons, if a driver had a chance to overtake, the approach was simple. Get within range, use DRS if available, and push the car to its limit. Under the new regulations, it's not that straightforward. If a driver has already used too much electrical energy earlier in the lap, they may not have enough power left to complete the move, even if the car ahead still has energy in reserve. That means an overtake could depend as much on battery management as driving skill. George Russell, who represents the drivers through the Grand Prix Drivers Association, confirmed that these concerns had been discussed with the FIA. Max Verstappen also questioned the new direction, saying Formula One should reward drivers for pushing flat out, not for constantly calculating energy usage. The FIA took those concerns seriously. Simulations suggested that at circuits with long straights, such as Monza, Jeddah, and Las Vegas, some cars could lose electrical deployment before the braking zone, creating unusual speed differences during overtakes. For many drivers, that raises a simple question. If managing the battery becomes more important than making the move, is Formula One still rewarding the best racer? The safety concern. At first, the debate focused on racing. Drivers questioned overtaking, while fans wondered if the new cars would still produce exciting battles. But as teams and the FIA analyzed more data, another concern emerged: safety. Simulations showed that on circuits with long straights, a driver who had already used most of their electrical energy could suddenly lose a significant amount of performance before the braking zone. Meanwhile, a car behind with full battery deployment could close the gap much faster than expected. At speeds of over 300 kilometers per hour, even a small difference in acceleration can dramatically reduce a driver's reaction time. That raised concerns about unpredictable closing speeds during overtakes. The FIA took those warnings seriously. Before the 2026 season even began, officials met with teams and power unit manufacturers to review the regulations. One of the main topics was whether the energy deployment rules should be adjusted to prevent cars from running out of electrical assistance on long straights. These meetings didn't mean the regulations had failed. They showed that the FIA was willing to refine the rules before they created problems on track. More importantly, they proved that the drivers' concerns weren't being dismissed. When the sport's governing body starts reviewing its own regulations before a single race has been run, it's clear the concerns are too significant to ignore. Opportunity or risk? While drivers were questioning the new regulations, the teams saw things differently. In Formula One, every major rule change creates new opportunities. The teams that adapt the fastest usually gain the biggest advantage. With the 2026 regulations, performance isn't just about building the most powerful engine anymore. It's also about how efficiently a team can recover and deploy electrical energy throughout the lap. A better energy management system could give drivers more opportunities to attack, defend, and remain competitive throughout a race. That's one of the biggest reasons why manufacturers like Audi decided to enter Formula One in 2026, while Honda reversed its decision to leave the sport. The new regulations align much more closely with modern hybrid technology used in road cars. However, this also raises another concern. If one manufacturer develops a significantly better power unit than everyone else, Formula One could once again see a major performance gap. Fans still remember how Mercedes dominated the start of the hybrid era in 2014 because of its superior engine package. So, while drivers are worried about how these cars feel to race, teams are focused on something entirely different. For them, the 2026 regulations represent a chance to outsmart the competition, even if it means changing the way Formula One has been raced for decades. Can the FIA still fix it? The good news is that none of these concerns has been ignored. As teams continued testing and running simulations, the FIA held multiple meetings with manufacturers and technical experts to review the 2026 regulations. One of the biggest topics was energy deployment, especially on long straights where drivers could run out of power too early. Instead of waiting for the first race to expose these issues, the FIA began exploring possible adjustments to reduce excessive energy management while keeping the core regulations intact. The goal isn't to redesign the cars, but to make sure drivers can spend more time racing and less time worrying about their battery levels. Whether these changes will completely solve the problem remains uncertain. But the fact that the FIA is already considering updates before the new era fully begins shows one thing clearly: when the people who drive these cars and the people who build them raise the same concerns, Formula One has no choice but to listen. Formula One has always rewarded the drivers who push the hardest. But in 2026, the biggest challenge may not be driving faster, it may be managing energy better than everyone else. Whether that creates a new golden era or changes Formula One forever, we'll soon find out.